Although I have many great memories with Grandma and Granddad, some of the best were of us working together. One of the more popular weekend activities was cutting down trees. Even though it was extremely hard work, Granddad always had a way to make it fun. One moment that sticks out happened in 1994 at Dwayne and Janie McNeil's house in Country Acres Addition. Dwayne and Janie had a large oak tree just behind their house that had died and needed to be removed. Janie had hired a couple of young, eager JBU students to come out and cut down the tree. As soon as they started cutting the base of the tree, their lack of experience started to show. Right away, the tree started to lean towards the house and was on the verge of falling into the master bedroom. As soon as Janie saw what was happening, she made a phone call. Within 20 minutes, Granddad and Uncle Irvy were at the house ready to tackle the challenge at hand. They assessed the situation and quickly went to work with smiles on their faces. Just to have some fun with the students, Granddad drew a line in the dirt to show exactly where he was going to make the tree fall. The two JBU students stood back, knowing that these two old men would never be able to stop the tree from falling on the house. With Granddad using the chainsaw and Irvy driving the truck, the two cut the tree down and landed it right on the line that Granddad drew in the dirt. Once the tree was down, Granddad and Irvy came together and yelled out their favorite cheer, "Yippee! Yippee! Yippee!" While trying to summarize the spiritual values that I have obtained from my grandparents, I am drawn to the fruits of the Spirit Paul lists in Galatians 5:22. While they consistently express each of these values, a couple stick out to me. When I think of Granddad, I think of love. I've never met a man that can make you feel more loved than him. He has the ability to make every person around him feel like the most special person in the world. When I think of Grandma, I think of faithfulness. I am amazed at the faithfulness Grandma has shown in following God's will for her life by serving others. She also lives the value of putting others first more than anyone I know. One of the things that I am most grateful for is the legacy that Granddad and Grandma have created for us. Granddad has always expressed the importance of the two great commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. I believe there's no greater example of how we are to live than the one the two of them have set. I also appreciate the advice and support they have given me over the years. Even though they express it in different ways, they are equally effective. I will always cherish the long conversations Granddad and I have had, either standing by the garden or by the car when I am trying to leave the house. I will also contemplate over the words Grandma leaves me with, as she is sending me on my way as well.
My favorite memory of Grandma and Grandpa was at their first house on Lindale Street. The kitchen and the dining room had a wall that separated them with a small cased opening above the sink that went between the two rooms. Grandpa was in the kitchen washing dishes and had a full sink of sudsy water. I was sitting at the table with Grandma finishing my breakfast. All of a sudden a handful of suds fell into my hair. Grandpa started to laugh and ducked down as if we did not know it was him. Grandma, as always, just said, "Ray?" After a few seconds, the next handful of suds came floating over and landed on my shoulder. This time I was fighting back. I picked up the suds and whipped them through the opening, hitting Grandpa in his face. He started throwing suds one handful after another, including the water they were suspended in. I also threw back as much as I could, and before long the table, walls, Grandpa, and I were soaked. Grandma was really getting upset now and saying Ray's name over and over again, and it did not seem to faze him whatsoever. Finally, she stood up and put herself between the two of us and explained that we were making a mess. We both decided she was right and put our soapy hands down. But as she turned away, Grandpa just had to get one more, so he planted a nice foamy ball right on Grandma's permed hair. The best part was she did not notice it, and we laughed for the next couple of minutes while the foam slowly dissipated into her hair. The greatest spiritual guidance that I have learned from them has been to love others, no matter who they are or what they have done, to love them. I am grateful to have grandparents that care so much for us. Their door is always open, and a never-ending supply of food is always waiting. I thought about the other day, and no matter who I met, it seemed as if they've spent any time at all in Silent Springs, they knew who Ray and Laurine were. What is even more impressive is no one can say anything negative about them. I cannot think of any person that I can say that about besides them.
I have so many special memories with my grandparents, doing wonderfully exciting things, but there is nothing more precious to me than just simply being in the same room with the two of them, watching how they interact with one another. I have spent many hours simply sitting with Grandpa at the kitchen table, watching Grandma cook, and just chatting, laughing, and carrying on. Grandma is usually working while Grandpa tells stories, recites poems, or sings old hymns. Sitting in the kitchen just a few weeks before I got married, Grandpa was going on and on saying, "Isn't my wife just the cutest girl you've ever seen? I can't believe I got her to marry me." They have been married 70 years, and they still act a couple of newlyweds. What a testament to love and devotion. One verse that I believe summarizes grandparents' legacy is Matthew 5:16. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Day in and day out, my grandparents radiate God's light everywhere they go. They don't have to tell you what they believe. They live it. A couple of years ago, some family members got upset with Grandma for continuing to help a couple we believed to be taking advantage of her generosity. Her response to our critique taught me a lesson that I will never forget. She told us that God puts people in front of her and tells her to help them. If they take advantage of her, then shame on them and God will deal with their deceit. She said it was her job to help those he puts in front of her without hesitation, rather than to judge their intentions. By her actions, my grandma has shown me what it means to truly have the heart of a servant. I am most grateful for the unending love my grandparents have for all of those around them. Grandpa and Grandma have a way of making me feel so special and loved that I would bet money I am their favorite grandchild. Unfortunately for me, all of the other grandchildren think the same thing. What an amazing gift. When I think of Grandpa, I think of the sweetest man I know, who just wants to put his arm around you, pat you on the shoulder, and give you a hug. I'm a grown adult and only one of many people Grandpa has in his life. But every couple of weeks, he still manages to pick up the phone and call me to just see what is going on in my life. We almost always end the conversation by saying, "Love you little, love you big, love you like a little pig." I never get tired of hearing such a sweet and fun saying.
Ray and Laurine have always been influential to all their children, grandchildren, and those who have had the honor to meet them. They truly have left a legacy of how they serve the Lord and have passed down their beliefs to all of us. It is by their example that we love God even more today. Ray and Laurine have always had strong biblical character. They will always share a moment with you, sing you a song of hope, or walk you through your sorrows. When you think of what a biblical best friend would be, you would definitely paint a picture of my grandparents. I have been fortunate enough to have memories with them. However, what I have noticed the most is how they interact with each other in their marriage and with those around them. The more time you spend with them, their idiosyncrasies begin to show. One example of this is how Ray treats his wife. Grandma is always by the book and orderly in comparison to Granddad, who is flexible with his time. He will continue conversation well past a healthy bedtime, even when they begin to disagree among themselves on whether or not he should stop for the night and continue the subject another day. They come to a mutual conclusion every time and during every conflict, never stepping out of line with each other. Both of them are always willing to meet in the middle. I would say that even during conflict, they take a moment to laugh at the fact that they even disagree. This is one of many examples like this, but if you blinked, you would not even notice their disagreements. There is a specific reason that I chose to portray this side of them. It is because, as Americans, we are able to live a great life and have wonderful memories for a majority of our years. However, it is always easy to praise God when life is great, or whenever you are brought up in a wonderful home. It is much more difficult to live out godly principles when conflict and trials come our way. Ray and Laurine challenge everyone by their actions and the way they have lived to be upright during the good and especially the bad times. If I could be thankful for one thing about them, it would have to be that they have shown me how to love when it is easy and when it's not so easy at all.
I have many memories of Grandma and Grandpa, but the one that sticks out in my mind took place last January 2009. I had come home to be with my mother after we found out she had colon cancer. After surgery and a week of being in the hospital, she was released to go home. We were lucky to get home when we did because there was a major storm on the way, which caused the power to go out as soon as we got home. We didn't know what to do because we wanted Mom to be as comfortable as possible as she was still recovering. Well, of course, it seemed like the only house in town with power was Grandma and Grandpa's. They graciously invited us to come over to spend the day with them, and we happily accepted. I remember pulling up and seeing the warm glow come from the windows and thanking God for Grandma and Grandpa. Since Grandma has everything you would need to make anything in her pantry, I decided to make homemade chicken and dumpling soup, a recipe from Cousin Ashley. I was having trouble figuring out how to knead the dough just right and knew Grandma was just the person to help. After encouraging me not to put just 1 pinch of sugar in, but 2, Grandma showed me just the right way to do it. After finishing a large helping of the soup, Grandpa told me it was the best chicken and dumpling soup he had ever had, which was quite a big compliment. After such a scary week with my mom, it was so comforting to have a place to go, to hear nothing but words of encouragement, and to be able to relax and have fun. Going to Grandma and Grandpa's house will always make any situation better, and I am so thankful for them. Grandma and Grandpa have taught me to always trust in the Lord and to take what life gives you and to enjoy it and appreciate it and to realize that our time here on earth is only temporary and our real home is in heaven. They have shown me what being an exemplary Christian is all about. They live their lives every day to serve God and those around them. I am both thankful for and love Grandma and Grandpa's advice, Grandpa's songs and short poems, Grandma's cooking lessons, Grandpa's hugs, both of their kind hearts, and most important of all, their love for not only each other, but for everyone, which is not only a great example for others to live by, but it's quite contagious too.
My greatest memory with Grandma and Grandpa was on our trip out to Yosemite National Park for their 60th wedding anniversary. The trip took place in the month of November, which, being the off-season at Yosemite, gave the snow-covered park a mysterious and surreal brilliance. One night the family had a celebratory dinner at one of the well-known lodges in the park, recognizing Grandma and Grandpa for their accomplishments. Grandma and Grandpa were so grateful simply because so many of us had come to share that moment with them. It was an amazing night. Everybody was on. I remember being so happy to be with my relatives that evening, reflecting on their adventurous, loving, and collective spirit. The best part of the journey was the fact it was Grandma and Grandpa bringing us together, like they have so many times. They are always up to something amazing and inspiring the family to come together, continuing to develop genuine relationships with each one of their relatives, extending altruism and positive knowledge throughout their community, and spreading as much love as they have to offer, all things that so few grandparents do. Grandma and Grandpa have been together 70 years now, but it's as if they were just married. They still carry a distinct youthful energy that inspires everyone around them. The morning after dinner in Yosemite, the whole family woke up and took advantage of all the snow on the ground. Grandpa managed to build a huge snowball, larger than me at the time, only to throw it at Johnny and me. When I'd stay at Grandma and Grandpa's house, Grandpa would come into my room in the morning and sing a song to wake me up. It usually worked. When I would make my way into the kitchen, Grandma would have the food ready to serve, and you had everything you needed to eat. My favorite was the oatmeal. The most important spiritual lesson that I've learned from my grandparents is discipline. The discipline to read the Bible and consistently look to the Lord for guidance in life. I am extremely grateful to have grandparents that love to serve others and are deeply involved in their community. They have provided me with a great example to follow after, and it gives me great pride to be a Barnett.